the young and the restless spoilers. Tucker's return to Genoa City sent shockwaves through the lives of those who knew him, none more so than Audra. The moment she saw him, her eyes lit up with a mix of relief and joy. She had been waiting for this moment, desperate for Tucker's support, and now he was finally here. Without hesitation, Audra ran into his arms, embracing him tightly, her gratitude spilling over in waves of emotion. "Thank you," she whispered into his ear. "Thank you for listening and coming back." For Audra, Tucker represented more than just an ally, he was her future. With him by her side, the possibilities seemed endless. Together, they could take over Glissade and rule it like a dynasty. Tucker's wisdom, experience, and power would complement Audra's fierce ambition and cunning, and she could already envision their path to success. But not everyone shared in Audra's joy. Nate, standing in the shadows, watched the reunion with a dark cloud looming over his heart. His blood boiled with jealousy and frustration. Audra had been his, a partner in both love and business, but Tucker's return threatened to unravel everything he had worked for. If Tucker had his way, Audra would no longer be in Nate's arms. She would be Tucker's girlfriend and co-pilot in the grand scheme to run Glissade. Nate knew Tucker was a force to be reckoned with, and he despised him for it. Nate's hatred for Tucker ran deep, and Victor Newman, ever the manipulative mastermind, knew how to exploit it. Victor had been watching from a distance, analyzing every move, every shift in loyalty. He saw an opportunity to use Nate's resentment as a weapon. Tucker's presence posed a direct threat to Victor's grand plans for Glissade, and Victor never allowed anyone to stand in his way. Victor approached Nate with a proposition. His voice was calm, his demeanor controlled, but beneath the surface, there was a sharp edge to his words. "Nate, you and I both know Tucker can't be allowed to stay in control. He's dangerous. He'll tear down everything we've built. But I have a plan, a way to take him out of the equation for good." Nate's eyes flickered with intrigue but also doubt. "What are you suggesting?" Victor smiled, that cold, calculated smile of his, the one that had struck fear into the hearts of many. "You want Audra, don't you? You hate Tucker for being the one thing standing between you and her. If you work with me, I'll make sure you get what you want. Tucker will be gone, and Audra will be yours." It was a tempting offer, but it wasn't just Nate Victor had in mind. Kyle Abbott was the second key player in Victor's game. Kyle had proven himself as CEO of Glissade, but Tucker's return jeopardized his position. If Tucker decided to flex his power, he could fire Kyle in an instant, reclaiming the throne that Kyle had so carefully guarded. Victor knew Kyle would do anything to protect his position, and that made him the perfect pawn. Victor's plan was simple in its brilliance: Kyle and Nate would eliminate Tucker. Nate would get Audra, the woman he loved, and Kyle would retain his title as CEO of Glissade. Victor, on the other hand, wouldn't have to lift a finger, but he would walk away with everything he wanted. Tucker's death would solve every problem, and Victor's control over Glissade would be secured once and for all. As Victor laid out the details of his scheme, Nate's internal struggle deepened. He wanted Audra, and the thought of Tucker taking her away from him was unbearable. But was he really willing to go as far as murder? The idea gnawed at him, twisting his morals, but Victor had a way of making even the darkest plans sound rational, almost necessary. Kyle, too, was faced with a similar dilemma. His ambition had always been his greatest strength, but now it was his weakness. Tucker held the power to destroy him, to strip him of everything he had worked for at Glissade. If Tucker was allowed to remain in control, Kyle's future as CEO would be ripped away, and Victor made it clear that there was only one way to prevent that. Victor's manipulation was masterful, pitting these two men against a common enemy while maintaining his own clean hands. As they debated their options, the clock was ticking. Tucker wasn't just a threat, he was the majority shareholder, the mysterious investor who held the fate of Glissade in his hands. Victor knew that as long as Tucker was alive, he could easily dismantle everything, firing Kyle and taking back the company. Tucker was a loose end that Victor couldn't afford to leave untied. And so, the decision loomed. Nate, consumed by jealousy, and Kyle, driven by ambition, were on the verge of crossing a line from which there would be no return. If they followed through with Victor's plan, Tucker would be eliminated, and their futures secured. But the cost of that choice was steep, far steeper than either of them could fully comprehend.